Bonjour everyone, I am Anne-Lise Cailliez and welcome to Parlez-vous CEO, where we ditch the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, hello. Welcome to another episode of Parlez-vous CEO. My name is Anne-Lise Cailliez and I am your host. For those who are just joining the podcast, we're Brandora and we specialize in helping real estate companies scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs. And today I am super pumped to have a friend of mine as a guest today. Her name is Jane Sosi and she's a residential agent here in New York. Jane, such a pleasure to have you with us today. In your own words, would you tell a little bit about your story and your background with our audience?
Yes, my name is Jane Sosi again, and thank you so much for having me. I have been in real estate now for about 10 years. So I joined originally working for a real estate tech startup, and it was my job to network with many landlords in the city and sell this product that I was launching. And so I really got my feet wet by going to networking events, meeting a ton of people. And then after about 3 to 4 years of doing that, I said, why don't I just sell real estate? So then I joined Compass, a team at Compass, and they taught me everything I know. And I'm so happy to be there. And it's been smooth sailing really ever since at Compass.
That's awesome. Actually, for the backstory, this is how we met.
Yes.
We met working for PropTech startup working off a basement in Brooklyn.
Yes.
They were one of my clients.
Correct.
So Jane, you made the switch from doing sales for PropTech startup to residential. What has been the most pronounced change and shift that you've seen in the type of sales you've been doing?
I will say residential it's a lot more, process is more clear than working with a landlord. Landlords are absolutely more of a slippery animal. You have to really work 10 times as hard in order to close the deal and sell them on a product because they are so convinced that they don't need anything and their business is perfect. Where in residential, everyone needs a place to live. And it's just about finding the people that are actually ready to make a transaction and move and qualifying them up front so you know what you're getting into and you don't waste your time. They're very different transactions. So I enjoy residential a lot more, even though it has its challenges as well.
So Jane, what's your favorite thing about real estate?
My favorite thing about real estate is, I would say it's the creativity of every single deal. Every deal has its challenges and you don't know what they're going to be. And you don't know how difficult people can suddenly become. It is a very it's a very anxiety-driven process. People are moving, they're uprooting their entire lives, they're stressed, they don't know what's coming next. I think that's exciting for me to walk someone through the steps, but at the same time, I'm going to say the aesthetics. It's really nice walking into a beautiful place and just feeling peace with the beauty that comes with residential real estate.
And do you have a good story? I mean, I feel that a lot of residential agents remember their first client very well. Do you have any fun story that you want to share with our listeners?
I think unlike most transactions, a lot of my transactions move very, very quickly. And I tend to attract buyers who pull the trigger almost immediately. And I'm very lucky. I don't know why that is, but I had one buyer. She bought an apartment at 3 Sheridan Square in the West Village. And, she saw 2 apartments. Then she didn't talk to me for about 2 to 3 months. And then she called me back and said, I want to see this one, and bought it. And that was it. That was the whole transaction. I think I knew her for about 3 months. And it's funny, we're still friends to this day. So I think that was the easiest transaction, and that was my first deal. So I'm very happy that was my first deal.
Wow, that's a great and very fortunate situation for a first deal.
Yes, definitely.
And so, Jane, you joined a large brokerage firm here in New York, Compass. They're known to be very good with marketing and technology. In your experience, what do you find the most efficient as a marketing strategy or platform? What's your favorite marketing outlet as a residential broker here in New York?
I would have to say social media. I actually do a lot of deals from social media. I think people follow me specifically because they know they can find things off market. Even if it's in the rental market, I'm always engaging and posting on social media to update people on what's coming up in the market.
And what specifically on social media do you find the most efficient?
The stories I like to post for rent coming soon with a nice image, and then it typically has a really great response.
And so right now, what's your strategy to find new clients? Is it mainly word of mouth, sorry, or do you have any mechanisms, systems for finding new clients?
Unfortunately, I don't have any true systems for finding new clients. All of my clients are from referrals at this point, and I'm constantly meeting new people that need a place to live and want to work with me. So I feel very lucky in that way. It always could get better. I could always take on more and implement these systems that other people have in the industry. So yeah, it's a work in progress, I would say.
And what's your ideal profile customer? Who are the people that you really want to work with? And also what type of properties are your favorite properties to work on?
That is a good question. My favorite properties to work on are condos. And the reason why is because you don't have that anxiety that goes into buying a co-op with potentially getting rejected. It is rare that we see rejections in co-ops at this point, but they still do happen. And I'm very lucky. I know which buildings are more strict than others. So I kind of try really hard to avoid them, quite frankly, but condos are the way to go. You have complete freedom with that asset, and it's a lot of money that you're putting into it. In hindsight, I actually bought into a co-op, and I will say it's a little tricky in terms of the politics of the co-op that you buy into. So you want to be careful and buy something that you love and don't want to change. So yeah.
And for the listeners who are not necessarily familiar with New York and New York real estate market, can you explain more the differences between condo and co-ops?
Yes. So in a condo, you own your asset clear and free. There is no one telling you what you can and cannot do with your asset. In a co-op, the board technically is the owner and you are the tenant. So if they want to change the rules and say that you can't sublet ever again, they can do that. And they can also charge you insane fees as retaliation. So there is a lot that goes into buying a co-op. You really want to pick one that has good energy and is clean and well kept because it tends to trickle down from the board. So if they care and this asset is well run, it'll tend to be a better investment, I think, long term.
So, Jane, in the residential space, what do you find is good content? Tell me what you think about what you're seeing that's being put out there.
It's a good question. Obviously, many of you know there are several reality TV shows involving residential real estate, and there's a couple that just came out in New York. So they've been really interesting to see. And I think as someone who uses social media but doesn't overly use social media, I would say it's important to come out with content that actually is good content, not just come out with content that is to post. That is your brand. You want to make sure it's right. You want to make sure that everything is edited properly and that the point sticks instead of just posting content to post content. I think it can come across a little bit narcissistic or self-centered at times. And I think people should be careful with that because it can be a turnoff. And I know that's a hot take, but we want to make sure we're doing it right and that the brand is on point.
Jane, so when you joined Compass earlier on in your career, can you tell us a little bit more and share with our listeners who are possibly just starting in residential real estate if you wanted to be a lone wolf or if you thought about joining a team and what was it like and how did you make your decision?
Right. This is a really good question. I did join a team right when I joined Compass and I had a ton of energy and I was kind of all over the place. And I switched teams 2 times until I found the team that I'm on now, which I'm now a partner of. And I would say the team that you join is so important because some teams, they're going to micromanage you. Some teams are going to, let you do whatever you want and then give you nothing. So I've worked where I feel like I've achieved a balance in my team that I am on now. I kind of do my own thing and they give me leads sometimes, but when you're just starting out, it's important to join a team that is bursting at the seams, overflowing with business to give you, because you will be starving. You will have no business, and this is a commission only field. So choose wisely. You don't just want to choose a team because they have a brand and then they have nothing to offer you. Mentorship is very important. There's a lot that you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So you're going to try and do it your way and then mess it all up and get in trouble. For instance, one of my friends' juniors recently, they didn't realize that it's 15% when you charge a commission on a rental on a year. And that is, that commission structure is dying out. However, this junior charged 15% of the month, which is almost nothing at all to charge. So she did all this work for free, and then she told them that, and they happily paid her, of course. And it was the funniest story I've ever heard, because this person obviously wasn't trained properly to disclose commission amounts. And this is how we get paid. This is how we eat. So I thought that was a really funny story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the importance of having the right mentors can really make or break your career, especially as you're saying, as you're starting and you are hungry. If you pick a team that is not able to feed you leads and train you correctly, it can really slow down your beginnings. And beginnings are very important, because the 6 months you have or the year you have to close your first deals are very crucial in the beginning of a real estate career. Jane, speaking of lifestyle and pace working in real estate, it's an industry that's 24/7 and it's really hard in the beginning. So how do you find harmony between work and life? I don't call it balance, because I actually don't believe that there is a balance. But how do you find harmony? How do you keep sane in a city that doesn't sleep? That's one, because we're in New York, but also an industry that doesn't sleep.
How do I find harmony? I love that word instead of balance, because sometimes there absolutely is no balance. I would say that my lifestyle has definitely slowed down. I can't have the nights that I used to have. I can't, tune out or take a break, because again, we're dealing with where people live. And if you are not responsive, hyper responsive, that person and your client will just move on. You have to get back to them within a couple hours every single time, or within really minutes. So if that's not the way you operate and you can't handle that type of pace, you will never survive in real estate. There is no tuning out. There is no slowing down. You have to be on your phone a lot. And to be honest, it really does take a toll on personal relationships at times, because there just needs to be urgency with everything, especially rentals. And that's really why I don't do them that often anymore, because, a tenant only has 30 days to find a new apartment, and that there's nothing higher than that anxiety, and it's a hustle. So it doesn't stop again. So yeah.
And so if you had a magic wand to solve one of the main challenges that you're facing in your business, what would it be?
I could see into the future and find out if someone's actually real or not after I meet them. That would be incredible. I think a lot of people want to look at real estate and they have absolutely no intention of buying anything. And you spend all this time with them and you go shopping and it's so fun and you see all these beautiful apartments, and then they never pull the trigger. And you're 1 out of 7. I think the real estate stats are, no, maybe it's 1 out of 14 will actually buy something. So you're going to waste a lot of time, and you have to get used to that, and you have to just be happy every single time, no matter what, even though these people are not buying anything. So you take the good and the bad. But I think when it comes to showing people real estate, if I could just know a little bit sooner whether this person is real, it would solve a lot of my wasted time. As much as I loved the people and spending time with them, it's not always ideal.
Right. And it is a challenging exercise to always show up with the same amount of energy, because you actually don't really know if people are going to buy or not. And you have to treat them always with the same standard. Right. So yeah, if there was a way to qualify them and see how far they are within the buying process, absolutely, that would be a great magic wand for sure.
Definitely. I kind of treat my job as being almost an entertainer in a weird way. I love to just have the best time ever with all my clients. And I feel like by the end of it, they want to actually spend time with me, which I'm so lucky that I can do that. But it's fun. Shopping for real estate is a great time. And you're adding in facts here and there along the way so they know that you know what you're doing. But it's not we're not reinventing the wheel here. We are having a great time. We're making sure people get what they want and we're listening to them. So that is the most important thing. Every single time showing up with that energy is something I enjoy completely. And that's why I love what I do. So
Tell me more about this. I love hearing that. So you're thinking of yourself as an entertainer. So how do you do it when it's cold and rainy and you're not feeling like it and you have a 7 a.m. showing on a Saturday, for instance? What do you tell yourself in those moments, when the show must go on? Like, how do you pump yourself up? What's your methodology?
yeah, well, it's definitely a mindset. Being miserable on a showing or having low energy, it's just not an option. And that comes very naturally to me. So again, people are choosing you because they like your energy. They like your aura and how exciting you make things. And of course, the knowledge that you can bring to the transaction. So I have the experience at this point to bring that knowledge and to advise them on which building is which, et cetera, and how it's going to go. But there is absolutely no tolerance for low energy or bad vibes. Like, you snap out of it or you do not show up. That's how I feel about it. It is absolutely your energy that you bring to every transaction that makes you you. And that's going to be why they refer you to other people.
And do you sometimes encounter the issue of people who you are meeting and doing showings and they want to be friends with you, but they're not necessarily going to work with you? Is that something that happens a lot?
That's a good question. I would say yes, but no, because I don't, I have a lot of friends and I'm very thankful, but I think they realize that I'm a professional and this is my job at the same time.
And you're able to put the boundaries right from the
Yeah, happy
beginning.
to follow you on Instagram, happy to comment back and forth, but I don't have tons of time to be friends with just everyone in New York City. Not that they all want to
Yeah.
be my friend, but I feel like that's just, I'm here when you need me. But if you don't need me, we're chill.
And so, Jane, if you had to give yourself, your 20-year-old self, what I call the golden nugget of wisdom, what would you tell the 20-year-old Jane?
I think be patient. It took me a long time to actually figure out what I wanted to do and where I would fit in New York. I had 3 to 4 jobs in my early 20s and they were hard. It was not what I wanted to do. I knew that right away. And I found after trying out these jobs that I was not good at certain things and very good at others. So I would say be patient with yourself. It will work out. You will find that stride where you make money, but it's not going to come in the beginning. And I learned that the hard way. So.
And Jane, what's coming up next for you? And what's the one thing you want to achieve with the business for the next year?
In the next year, I would love to get into higher price points. Right now, I'm kind of stuck in the under $3 million price point, which is great. It definitely moves quickly and pays the bills. The sexier apartments are just way more fun to sell because they're nice you don't have to elaborate on a story of what you could do or why it's this or etc. It's nice to work with a buyer or a seller that just has great taste and great stuff, quite frankly. So higher price points, that is the aspirational goal for me in the future.
And Jane, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jane_Sosi or on the Compass website. If you type in my name, I will be there. And thank you so much, Anne, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for being our guest today, Jane. It was a pleasure having you.
Great.
And that wraps up today's episode on Parlez-vous CEO and our special real estate series with female leaders. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I can't wait to join you again next week. Thanks for listening to Parlez-vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. And connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-vous CEO. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.